Hey everyone, my name is Eric, and this is Skeptics and Scoundrels. Hope you're doing well tonight. Tonight I am joined by David from Deep Drinks Podcast. How are you doing tonight, David?
Hello, everybody. How you doing, everyone?
Oh
Very
no,
excited
this
to
is
be
off.
here. What an absolute honor to be here. This channel, I am a big fan of your channel, so thank you so much for inviting me on.
Yeah, well, thank you, David. Really appreciate it. Yeah, you kind of worried me there with the eye rolling thing. I thought maybe we were already off to a. Oh God, this is not going well so far.
I changed my background to red. Like it's kind of red. It's a bit orange. I don't know what's going on there,
It
but
is a
I'm
little.
trying.
I mean, fire is more orange than red if you really look at it, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Oh yeah, and I got my background set to red as well. I didn't. I could have had it like pulse and do like a fire effect, but I figured that might have been too much. I mean, don't want people to really think my room's on fire here. So
Yeah.
so welcome and welcome to everybody in the chat. This is awesome. We have looks like we have 12 people so far. I see a lot of regulars here. We got. Yeah, absolutely. We have Ember. He was a little early. He said hi. We got Pasta C. How you doing,
yeah.
Stacy?
Pasta C. Yeah, she's awesome.
Pasta C. Yeah. We got Pragmatic Crystal. Welcome, Prag.
Also
Always nice to
awesome.
see you.
There's so many people here that I know from Deep Drinks that are just like that. Is some of them are Patreon supporters as well, and Apostasy is going to be on a panel coming up soon on Deep Drinks, which should be awesome on purity culture. Yeah, there's a lot of cool guys in the chat.
Yeah, I've seen your commercial for that a couple times now, and that looks really interesting.
Which one? The virginity is cool one, or the
the one that has the spooky Halloween music and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, no. There's some new shorts that have come out which are like cringe. You'll have to watch them later, but yeah, it's pretty
awesome.
Fun.
Yeah, I'll have to check those out. No, I love the juxtaposition of purity culture with just crappy Halloween music and like a skull in the dirt with an eyeball looking around. It's just
I wanted like a Goosebumps like theme because we're kind of making fun of it, but at the same time, it like spooky, like horror stories because it's embarrassing. Like the stuff that people used to believe and I used to believe about purity culture, it was damaging and like very not good. Yeah. So
I had the same exact experience with The Witnesses. They don't call it purity culture, but it's essentially that, and it's embarrassing. It's cringy. You miss out on so many opportunities in life because you've been convinced that that's the right thing to do at the time. And one day in the future I might do a whole episode on just cringe moments from my past because I could fill up hours talking about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got Mr. L. Let's go. Yeah, Mr. L, thank you for stopping by. This is great. Deep Drinks, I don't know who that is. That's Ember, you're a mod. Let's kick this Deep Drinks guy out. No. And for anybody who doesn't know, Deep Drinks is David's YouTube channel, Deep Drinks Podcast, where he puts together very well thought out, well edited, high quality content and interviews with
thank you.
Various people. So before we go more into the who's here, you want to talk a little bit about that now that we're talking about Deep Drinks?
Yeah, may as well. So I run a channel called youtube.com/@deepdrinks. It's I ask the guest to choose a drink of their choice, and then we drink that together over the course of the conversation. Tomorrow, I think we have a very special guest. Eric, you're coming on the channel to talk about your deconstruction experience from the Jehovah's Witnesses, and we're drinking Foster's, which I've only ever drunk once in my life, which when I was in London, because no Australian ever drinks Foster's, but it's the Australian beer. So I'm going to go find it, and I'm going to get a 6-pack, and we're going to have like a grand old time talking about your deconstruction experience. But I essentially bring someone on, we have a long conversation. Sometimes the drink is alcoholic, sometimes it's not, and it sets the tone of the interview. It's really cool. I interview it's usually about like religion, philosophy, and human rights. So I've interviewed like people from Ukraine who are living under siege. And it's funny, I asked that person, I was like, obviously you're in a war zone. We can't get alcohol, we can't, it's be inappropriate to ask you to get a drink. And she said, no, we're Ukrainian, we drink. She's like, I'll find something. And I was like, okay, no worries. So she's like, you're literally in a war zone and talking to me.
I watched that interview, and that was crazy. It was, what's her name? Anastasia, is that it?
Yeah.
I remember watching that. That to me was so nuts how she's in a war zone and and she has to deal with daily raid sirens and air raid sirens and the possibility of dying any moment. And she's sitting there drinking wine and having a conversation
Yeah.
with you because life. It's been a year now since the war started. Life's got to go on, and
And
amazing strength and courage
sirens
there.
went off sirens went off in the stream, and she
Yeah,
picked up her laptop and ran to like the hallway and sat down, was like, okay, and just continued because like her father was killed by Russian artillery while standing on the balcony of his Kharkiv home.
that's
It's
right.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Wow.
so like she's and like the last stream she was on, 3 sirens went off, and she was next to the window, and she's like, I can't be bothered moving. And
Yeah.
I was like, really? Like, I really don't want you to get blown up. Like, she's like, no, I'm not moving. I don't care anymore. I'm like, damn, like it's wild. But it's not just that stuff. It's like I talked to Nuria Khan about leaving Islam. I talked to some Christians. I've got some Pentecostal Christians coming on soon to talk about their faith and the reasons they have and what they believe and why. And yeah, it's I just like to have deep conversations with people. So
Yeah.
that's where I started it all.
Yeah. So for any of those who are not subscribed to Deep Drinks, I absolutely recommend going over there and checking it out. The link to his channel is in the description of this video, and we'll also be plugging in again at the end of this video, along with David's Twitter and stuff. So yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Continuing on, see here, who else we got here? Nitty, my man. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Nitty. Great to have you here. We have Carrie Ann. Good evening, all. Thank you for showing up. This is great. And that looks like that's all the fresh faces. Oh, no, actually, hold on. My thing just updated. We have Marja, Belphegor. Yeah, that, honestly, Belphegor wasn't included in this because I was sifting through so many demon anecdotes yesterday and today. There are so many to choose from. And 99% of our demon stories are outside of the Bible. So few of them are actually from the Bible, and the ones that are in the Bible are quite lean on detail, which we'll be getting into here pretty soon. Spooky bed hair. I didn't want to be here, but the power of Christ compelled me.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that Christ is not, waiting for your consent to make you do things. That's a shameful state. I'm sorry, Spooky. Satan's little helper. Hello. What's that, David?
Satan Little Helper, how you doing? That's so funny that someone... Did you create the name just to come here? I know Sylvia Corbett from my channel as well. Hi, Sylvia.
Cool. We got Ox. Ox is here. Welcome, Ox. And I'm nearly at the bottom of the list. Yeah, Azo, there he is. Welcome. Oh, hey, cool. Ember is linking your channel.
Oh, thank you,
for
Emma.
those of you.
Appreciate that.
So since Ember is a mod, that will appear in the chat, so you guys can click on that and do all that. Melody's here. Thank you very much, Melody, for stopping by.
Melody, I love Melody.
Yeah, Demon Party. Eddie Dean with his $5 super chat. Sorry I'm late. I was busy casting out a demon on the porcelain throne. Oh man. I hope that went well for you, Eddie. I hate it when I have to do that. It's rare, but sometimes it happens. It's one of the reasons why I don't drink vodka because, yeah. It is amazing how that sticks with you over time. I had that run-in with vodka 14 years ago. I think it was the first time I got drunk after I deconverted, and I've never drank vodka since. I just can't.
Oh, really? Is this too? Yeah, I think. Yeah, I used to be the same, but I think part of deep drinks is like softened me a little bit. Man, I'm a vegetarian, and I had one guest bring me on, come on, and they're like, we're drinking straight tequila, and you're putting worm salts on bits of oranges, and you could taste the worms, like really, like it's like fried up, crushed up worms with salt and chili flakes, and it cost me like $45 because I had to get it like imported in from Mexico. And just like as a vegetarian eating, like I was like, oh god, I just have to. Sometimes my taste and like I'm the same with alcohol. Like I don't like bourbons. Oh no, not bourbons. Rums very much, but I have to deal with it as part of the job.
Yeah. Actually, I really love rums myself. Like a rum and Coke, or just a rum and a lot of different drinks are very, very good. Rum, tequila, I can drink just about anything. But yeah, vodka, it is on my block list for the rest of my life. Like that was a rough night too. Another story for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, um, so now that we're through introductions, we have kind of a theme of the month going on here with Skeptics and Scoundrels. We have done like 3 demon videos now, including this one. I did a demon video that got released at the beginning of the month where I did a 45-minute like tackle of a demon anecdote in an old Jehovah's Witness publication, and how this story like really frightened me when I was a kid, because it was a story of a guy who talked to demons. The demons gave him power. He decided, hey, I don't like this anymore. I'm going to study the Bible and become closer to God. And the demons didn't like that. So the demons literally beat him up in his sleep and did other crazy things. He ended up getting like converting and getting married, and the demons still bothered him, even though he was now like supposedly under God's protection, and all this craziness that just this one story back in this publication from 1986, like conveyed to the, probably what, 3 million, 4 million Jehovah's Witnesses there at the time. Like that kind of stuff stuck with me when I was a kid. So this month has kind of been almost like therapy, just kind of going through things, like really objectively analyzing demon stories, tearing them apart, finding all the holes in them. And it's actually been very, very cathartic, and I've been having a really good time doing it. But this is like our third installment now of this. So
The third
so
installment of Demon Month.
yeah, Demon Month is like, I should have did this in October, but that's fine. We'll do another spooky thing in October. Although, so you're in Australia, so this is kind of October weather down there for you, right? So like,
Well,
kind
yeah.
of,
So it's weird. Like Christmas for us is like people do like prawns on the barbie. Everyone's in singlets, like day
yeah,
drinking. Like it's people spend it at the beach usually, where I'm
yeah,
from, like Christmas Day on the beach. So yeah, it's very different, like culturally.
yeah,
Um, the only time I've had like a snowy Christmas time or like a cold, around or Halloween is when I went to Poland. So yeah.
yeah. That's interesting, because yeah, pretty much everyone south of the equator has just opposite weather for your traditional holidays, and it's kind of a weird thing to get your head wrapped around, because I've never been south of the equator, so I've never had to deal with the inversion of
Oh,
weather compared to that. So that's
yeah.
that's crazy. So anyway, yeah.
It's
So that's
funny.
kind of, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it's funny how like you talk about your it's been cathartic for you and like helpful for you to just discuss these demon stories. Like I have like a little story about like it actually I had a story about this demons that actually helped me in deconstructing my faith. Can I share it quickly with everyone?
Absolutely, yeah. I was actually just about to. That was the next
Oh,
part of the
okay.
script. I was gonna say,
So
David, tell us your story and your backgrounds and your
well,
experience with demons or demon stories. Like, please regale
so
us with
I
your
I
history.
I, I didn't grow up super scared of demons or anything like that. I used to always make the joke that we're covered by the blood in Bible college. I used to like covered by the blood, covered by the blood. I used to always make that joke, and I'm not worried about anything. I'm not worried about dying, covered by the blood, right? And one of the things that happened is I remember going on a world trip with my beautiful wife, and I remember going to Japan. So we went to Japan, then we went to Europe, and then we did Thailand on the way back. It was like the first time we kind of been overseas, and I was actually a little scared about going to these shrines in Osaka and Shibuya in Japan that were Buddhist and Shinto shrines,
Yep.
because I thought there were demons there, and I thought like that, you know. But I told myself, no, I'm going to be open on this trip. I'm going to investigate. I'm going to come to everything with an open mind. And I remember standing outside this Asakasa shrine, and I remember seeing people, and I've got videos of this, but people blowing smoke on their face to purify themselves with incense, purify themselves before they go into a temple.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, like, it's a very touristy area. I remember looking at these people and thinking to myself, are they really being cleansed? Like, is something really going on here? Or are demons attaching themselves to these people because they're blowing smoke on their face? And I was like, and let's say that I could like mathematically, like let's say I created a demon observer or like a spirit observer, and I could prove 100% factually that there is nothing going on when they're blowing smoke on their face. Would that actually change the ritual at all? And then I thought to myself, it probably wouldn't. It probably doesn't even matter. It's probably not. It's probably besides the point about like if anything's actually happening to them in the spirit realm when they're blowing
Yeah.
the smoke on their face. And that was the first thought. cut to like a week or two later, I'm in Scotland and we're driving around with the tour bus, and the tour guide, it's like us and 4 other people. 2 of them didn't speak English and the other 2 was extremely rude. So the tour guide just essentially spoke to us the whole time. In fact, he actually threw away a lot of the tour and he just took us to McDonald's sites, like Clan Donald, like my last name, Clan McDonald. Like, and like, this is where you've got your ancestors fought in the Battle of Culloden, and this is your old castle. It was really cool. But we're on this tour for like 3 days in the Isle of Skye, and he talked about this story about how there was someone came on tour from America, and they went to the fairy kingdom. And in Scotland, they actually believe in fairies. Like, it's not like it's like not everyone, but it's in their folklore. And fairies aren't these like beautiful things. They're like these little demonic creature things that will steal your shit. They'll cause mischief. They'll attack you. Like, they're not generally not nice. And they took us to this place called the Fairy Kingdom. And apparently at this place, it was a little creepy, but apparently at this place, if you look up on the hill, you can see this kingdom up there. Some people can see this like fairy kingdom, right? This sounds like fucking, sorry, I didn't mean to swear. This sounds like
no, like, go ahead, it's fine.
Okay.
we're 7 minutes in. Drop all the fuck bombs you want.
This is like, it sounds like we're talking about like the land of Oz or something, but like people can see this fairy kingdom. And up there is a cave, like an actual cave, not in the fairy kingdom. And people would go up there. And in this tour that we eventually went to the same spot, this lady went up there with a group, and she felt something inside the cave grab her on the leg, and she screamed and she ran down to the bus, and she got on the bus and she was terrified, and she refused to get off the bus. When they went back to the hostel, she couldn't sleep that night. And then when she finally kind of drifted in and out of her sleep, she saw this fairy standing in the corner of the room, and the fairy ran up to her and jumped on her chest and sat on top of her, and she couldn't sleep because this fairy was on top of her, and she screamed and she ran because it was like she was in like a kind of a bus thing on the hostel property. She ran into the main hostel and she refused to go to sleep. A year later, she came back on tour because apparently that demon, well, that fairy had followed her over to the US, and she was coming back on tour to try and leave it back in Scotland. And I heard this story, and as a Christian, I thought to myself, classic demon, right? Like, it's classic. It's not a fairy. These are just demons. And then I thought to myself, wait a second, like the stories of like Smith Wigglesworth, because I also believed in Smith Wigglesworth, who was a Pentecostal preacher, waking up and seeing the devil in his room and just saying, oh, it's only you, and then rolling over and going to sleep. Nothing happened to him. And I thought to myself, wait, if this demon, like, or this thing that was sitting on this lady's chest was just sitting on it, like, what was it doing? Well, what's it doing? It's just sitting on your chest going like, hey, what's up? Like
it's got nothing better to do.
Yeah, like the story. Like, and why would a tool if you just ignored it, rolled over and went to sleep, or just went like, hey, how you doing? And like scratched its chin, it would lose all of its power. The power was the fear. And I was like, why would a tool of psychology to just accept what's in front of you and to just walk into it and all the fear would go away? Why can a tool of psychology work on something that's spiritual? And how come this demon didn't act like the demons in the Bible, which kicked people's asses, which tore their clothes off, which made them unable to speak, which made them like, why was it different? And then I thought to myself, like, damn, what if the stories in the Bible are people having episodes of psychosis? And that for me was a huge like thought process that happened over the course of our trips through Europe, and back when I got back. But it really made me consider all the demonic. I come from a Pentecostal church. All of the demonic experiences that I experienced or heard of in my faith at the time. So yeah, for me that was a huge shift in my thinking. What if these things weren't actually demons? What if they were just psychological phenomena?
That's really all it takes, is just for a moment, let go of your current explanation. Just not even let go of it. Just put it aside for a moment. It'll still be there when you come back to it. Let go of the need to please this God. Let go of your fear of the unknown. Let go of the fear of demons, and just look at it and just truly objectively analyze it. And it's amazing how that can eventually snowball into dropping these irrational beliefs altogether. And it's amazing how people can be primed to believe these things because of a culture. In your case, it was a religion you were brought up in. I mean, I'm sure you were probably told these stories ever since you were an infant, from the Bible and from other things. I mean, I definitely was. Like, if I don't have it on me, it's behind me, but my book of Bible stories, the children's book that the Jehovah's Witnesses put out back in the 70s, has crap like this in there, and you're basically brainwashed to believe in these things from being an infant. And that, even now, like I've been a atheist skeptic for now 14 years, and every once in a while, like I'll still get like these heebie-jeebies willies, like even
Yeah.
just today, I was walking, like I was like, why are my dogs barking so much today? I've been studying demons for 2 days now for this production, and I'm like, why are my
Yeah,
dogs barking
demons?
so much? Like maybe they sense something I can't, and just your brain starts
Yeah.
taking off because you've been primed to believe these things,
Yeah.
and yeah, it takes just a moment of self-control. Just stop yourself for a second. Don't let your brain run away with these things, and stop and look at it, and all that. Yeah,
I
a lot of what you described is exactly what I've dealt with too, as I grew up.
I'm super excited to have you on tomorrow because one thing that is exciting to me is I remember some Jehovah's Witnesses. I was never a Jehovah's Witness. I think my family were studying with some for a while, and my
Okay.
dad kept asking questions, and they kept saying, "Let's put that one on the shelf and keep it." And my
Yeah.
dad said eventually, like, that
Yeah.
shelf's getting pretty big. Like that shelf's got a
Yeah.
lot of stuff on there anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's another story, another day. But these Jehovah's Witnesses bring all these magazines to the office that I work in, and the first one was like, what is the meaning of life? Like that was the cover of it. What was the meaning of
Yeah.
life? Like,
Very,
and the
very
next one was
catchy,
like,
simple titles.
yeah,
Yeah.
next one was like, how to be a good family. Like, what is a good family? What are the next one was like, what happens after you die? And the next one was like,
Yeah.
angels and demons in the end time. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is a perfect representation of what happens. You get let in with this like nice
Yeah.
message, like, oh yeah, what is a good family?
Yeah.
Like,
It's
we're all
it's
friendly
it's
and
just like it's just like Scientology. They will lead with some very practical, common sense stuff. Like, hey, how can you be less angry, or how can you have a happier family life? And then they start reeling you in, like, okay, now we're going to teach you about demons, now we're going to teach you about 144,000 anointed, and now we're going to teach you about all this other crazy stuff. And yeah, it's just like a Scientology. They're going to lead with something sensible, and the further you wade in, the more into the quicksand you go. And yeah, it's crazy how they do that. And these demon anecdotes are also right up there with that. Like, can you imagine if like the one demon anecdote that I tackled in my last video? I can't imagine a Jehovah's Witness leading with something like that at a fresh door.
I know.
Like, knock knock. Let me tell you about the story about Ralph Anderson, how demons harassed him his entire life. Like, you would completely shut off the conversation.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, yeah, so crazy. But so anyway, for on the topic of demons, well, maybe we'll go into a little bit of what my background, what Jehovah's Witnesses believe demons were like, and we'll talk a little about what your religion thought demons were like, and then we're going to go into the tier list.
Mm-hmm.
So Jehovah's Witnesses believe that demons are simply fallen angels. They are the angels that Satan seduced into rebelling against God. Basically, right when Satan fell from grace and disobeyed God and like mucked up Adam and Eve in the garden, Satan immediately had like angelic followers, and those followers eventually became demons. These are the demons that came down to earth and procreated with human women, which created the Nephilim, which prompted God to drown everything on the planet. They are the ones that are causing all these problems in the world. They can harass people, they can physically assault people, they can kill people, they can do all kinds of crazy stuff. But essentially, demons are just that, fallen angels. Witnesses, I can't remember if they would take this number literally or not, but they believe that 1/3 of all angels were basically converted into demons due to Satan's rebellion. And that's kind of what they got going there. Tell us a little bit about what you said you were in the Pentecostal faith, right? So, what do they consider demons to be?
What I appreciate about the Jehovah's Witness faith, cult, or whatever you want to call it, is the that they have things like mapped out. In the Pentecostal kind of thing, I would have said, if you the way you describe that, yeah, that sounds accurate. But that wasn't necessarily like how we didn't need to know that. We didn't have to think about things like that. We didn't have to create. We didn't have to like understand things in a
Yeah.
rational way. It was very much more feelings based. And the only thing that I can really think of is I'll read this a little scripture. The scripture reading from Dave, Ephesians 6,
This is now
verses
this is now
12.
Bible time. Bible
This is our
time with deep
Bible time.
drinks. Yeah.
But this is the only thing that we would ever need to know is our flesh. As for our struggle, Ephesians 6 verses 12. For our struggle is not with flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of the dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything to stand firm. Then with the belt of truth buckled. So, and it goes
Yep.
on, but essentially,
I remember the scripture. Yeah.
yeah, essentially that was for everything. The left win in politics. Our body, we got to stand firm against this. Our battle is not with flesh and blood. Same-sex marriage plebiscite comes in. We got to fight against, everything was seen as spiritual. So
Yep.
demons were like these amorphous like actors in the spirit realm that would help influence people. You couldn't be possessed, it was my understanding as a Christian, but you could be oppressed. And the way that
Yeah.
it was kind of shown for us was spoken to us was like it's like a demon sitting on your head. And so that's the way that a lot of people may describe demon depression, anxiety. I remember when I was struggling with, I've got pure OCD and a bit of anxiety and sometimes depression. And the way that pastors would describe it to me is like, they'd be like, it sounds like what you're going through is like 50% psychological and 50% spiritual. And it's like,
Yeah.
the fuck, like, and then I would
Like, how do you make that prognosis? Yeah.
yeah. And I would fix it all with psychology. I'm like, why is a tool of psychology working on spiritual stuff, dog? Like, you know what I mean? Anyway, but yeah, like so it was always like that was always the case. And I remember having this and we're having a purity culture panel coming up on Deep Drink soon, where we're going to be talking about purity culture horror stories. And one of the things that I remember thinking, it was like I was so desperate to remove my lust as a teenager, as an angsty teenager, that I remember like having this like thought, and the thought was essentially like, imagine meeting the demon of lust. Imagine meeting that demon in some like spirit realm, and having this like, and thinking like, I know you so well, like I know that demon so well, because you've been attacking me my entire life. And that's how the Pentecostals, how I viewed demonic forces. Yeah.
So they basically classified the demon of X, and X is whatever is currently like troubling you at the time. So the demon of lust, the demon of sloth, demon of doubt.
Not even that, not even like specifically demons, but like just they would kind of like amorphous, in the Shinto religion, how they have like 9 gods of rice, 9 shami of rice, and shami? Shami? Is it shami? But they have like, there are life forces and everything. That was specific. That was more the idea in Pentecostalism, where it's like there are demons, but it's more just that we're fighting a spiritual battle, and there's the demon and the devil and evil is influencing and trying to take ground from one side, and we as the Christians need to intercede and speak in tongues and work to pull that ground back from the enemy. And that was the idea.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from the witness's point of view, the entire war is spiritual. It's Satan and his demons versus Jehovah God and his angels, and it's like a battle of sovereignty, a battle of supremacy. And obviously, Jehovah God is the Almighty God, so the battle is hopeless for Satan, but he wages this war anyway. And humans are just caught in the middle. Like, this is like the battleground down here. And I guess the part of the war has to do with, will man follow God despite having bad things happen, despite all the other junk going on in the world. But for the most part, like, humans are just completely powerless to really do anything about it. The only thing they can really do is to prove Satan wrong by being good Jehovah's Witnesses and preaching despite hardships and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of like that's like the Jehovah's Witness role in the whole battle. It's like witnesses don't actually battle against demons. They're proving Satan wrong with their good behavior and proving God right and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
the trap.
That's interesting.
That's the trap, I think, that gets a lot of people caught up. And it's also in Matthew 24, those who stand firm in faith till the end will be saved. It's like it's telling you you're going to doubt your faith. You're going to doubt these things. But if you stand firm, that's just evidence that it's true, right? So yeah, that's how they get you.
That's crazy.
Oh, Eddie sent a super chat.
Another super chat. Yeah, Eddie, thank you so much for your generosity. You've been really awesome. I'm going to probably have to make a statue of you and put it in my shelf back here, because Eddie has probably super chatted twice per stream since I started, and he's awesome. So thank you, Eddie. I really appreciate it. Eddie says, I grew up with AOG parents. I'm unfamiliar with that initialism. AOG?
Assembly of God
Assembly of God.
Is a type of Christianity that Hillsong came from. They used to be an AOG church, and they got
Okay.
bigger than AOG, so they left the AOG movement. But Assembly of
I
God is
gotcha.
like the main Pentecostal
Yeah.
denomination.
I,
Yeah,
I was gonna guess it was something of God, but okay, Assembly of God,
yeah.
awesome. I remember as a child, my sister went through an exorcism. Wow, I would, if you're willing to share, I would love to hear more about that because I've been diving into exorcisms quite a bit. But that's interesting. It was terrifying. I often wonder what the fuck actually happened. Yeah,
Hmm.
I find it very curious that exorcisms are not filmed because it's kind of a two prong. I mean, if there are films of exorcisms, I'm unaware of them. But for the
There
most
are.
part, the spectacular stories cannot be confirmed. And also on the flip side, it also hides whatever craziness are going on in there. Is there physical abuse? Is there emotional abuse going on? Like the exorcisms are, from what I've heard from people who have like survived them, it's an abusive interaction between people. Like
It's
it's not
it
anything
can be
pleasant.
violent, and
Yeah.
there was this in Australia. We have this amazing. I think he's one of Australia's cherished icons, and I think he's super underrated. But he's called John Safran, and he created this document series called John Safran versus God. And what he did is he went around and tested every religion. He went to like voodooism, Mormonism, Catholicism. He did like a voodoo sacrifice. He went to the peyote way of God. And at the very end of this, 6-part docuseries, he went. It's all funny too. It's like, should John Safran convert to the school of the church of this? Call in now. And it was like an Australian show. But
Yeah.
the very last one, he went to Bob Larson, who's that TV exorcist, and he got exorcised. And like you see him like screaming and falling over and like speaking as if he's the demon. And to this day, he says he doesn't know what happened there, but he wasn't acting; it was real. But he doesn't think it was demons. I think he thinks it was like a form of psychosis or something. But yeah, like what he will say though is before he did that, he was very primed. Like Bob Larson showed him hour upon hour upon hour and an hour of people getting exercised on video, and then
Wow.
brought him to a 6-hour prayer meeting where essentially he was prayed over, and they kept, to me it looks like hysteria or
Yeah.
psychological prompting or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's wild.
That's what I would imagine it comes down to. Is just a bunch of people who are primed to believe is getting together and resorting to extreme measures to fix the problem. Like that's exactly what I would expect out of something like that. Is just hysteria and just kind of anything goes because you're in spiritual warfare. You got to pull out all the stops here. You're up against demons. Yeah, I would probably like to do an episode in the near future about if I could find footage of actual exorcisms. Like just find the most crazy ones you can find and see what is actually occurring there.
Yeah,
Instead of just anecdotes from people like we're going to talk about him later, Richard Gallagher, kind of wannabe exorcists that don't that
yeah,
I'll have all kinds of stories and no evidence. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
All right. So anyway, so we got to get moving here because we're half hour in. We haven't gotten the tier list yet.
Let's do it.
But it's been a great conversation so far. I'm really enjoying it. I'm sad we don't have more time to go about this. So anyway, demons in the Bible. We're gonna have a demon tier list from demon stories from the Bible, and it's interesting in my research in that demons in the Old Testament were kind of, if you look at it as a plot device, if you look at it as a device in a story, demons are actually very unrefined when it comes to the Old Testament. They they don't have names, they aren't well defined, they are either sent by God or they come from some other source. And they just it's almost like an underdeveloped idea at this point. And demons, the idea of demons go all the way back to the Stone Age. Like
Mm.
all of these demon accounts that we have all evolved from these original ideas from basically the Stone Age. I think is the Paleolithic age.
I didn't
Basically,
know that.
yeah. Like if you do a wiki search on it, it's basically the Stone Age thousands, tens of thousands of years ago. Basically, the basic idea of spirits behind things, and you had good spirits and bad spirits, and these are all responsible for what's going on. And then as our cultures diverge from those original ancestors of ours, we can see how different stories emerge, and there's also commonalities between all of them, like centaurs. If anybody who's played Dungeons and Dragons or have watched a fantasy movie know what a centaur is, that's very common in a lot of different cultures, including, I believe, Hebrew culture, according to my research. Satyrs are another one. Anybody who's watched Fantasia, the Disney production, I think there's a satyr in Fantasia. Traditionally, satyrs are actually crazy spirit demon creatures. I can't even show you pictures of them because
Look
a lot
at
of them
just
on
go to the
wiki.
wiki.
Go to the wiki. Satyrs are infamous for their massive dongs and the way they use them. I can't show you this.
Like it's like
And-
that like some of those, yeah, they're huge. Puts a man to shame. Like go just go look at the wiki article.
So, but anyway, there's commonalities in this, and we see how a lot of different cultures have demons and the idea of malevolent spirit creatures. So anyway, tonight, Dave and I are going to be demonologists. We are going to study the demons of the Bible, and we're going to figure out, we're going to rank them in a tier list and see exactly kind of where they stand against each other. But demonology that's a real thing. It's a real science in the
Just
world
like
of religion.
homeopathy is a real science. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not a made up word. It's considered a field of study among religions. People will label it as a science, and it's yeah. All right.
I mean, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Like in a and not a lot of people know this. I'm reading this book now. I took this opportunity to start reading this last night. The Demonology of King James. So King James, the one who sponsored the King James Bible, wrote a book on demons, and this is it. And it's like it's got an introduction, and it's wild. Like he believes some whack stuff, but like he had this whole book on like, if you got this type of demon, do this. If you got this type of demon, do this. This is how you know it's this type of demon. Like it's weird. Like, and this is King James, right? Like, yeah. Anyway,
yeah, and
it's fun.
And just to reiterate, that is the King James of the King James Bible.
Yeah.
Same guy. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, hey, let's dive into the tier list. So, make sure I got this all set up. Hey, there we go. Okay, so hey guys, we're gonna meet the demons tonight. So I have a tier list set up here, and I'm torn to go through the artwork first or go through the artwork later. I think we'll go through the artwork first because all of 3 of these images were generated by AI. I'm a bit of a tech guy. Only 3 images were actually generated by a human. So move over, Michelangelo. Eric is here with his Midjourney account. We don't need you anymore. So we'll kind of go through all the different demons that we're going to be talking about tonight. So in order, we're gonna have. Actually, tell you what, I'm just going to show the picture, and then we will go and look at the actual tier list. So, very first demon of the night are the angels, believe it or not. So, as I mentioned before, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that demons are actually fallen angels. They're angels that descended from the planet or from the heavens down to planet Earth, and they're the ones that interbred with human women, because I guess human women were just that desirable back before the flood. I mean, so desirable that spirit creatures got the hots for them. Which, how does that work? Is there sexual desire in heaven normally? Why would demons or angels even have this? Like, I don't understand. Like, why would an angel be physically attracted to a human? But apparently they were, according to Genesis. And they decided, hey, we're going to go down there and hang out with those women.
That's actually really interesting. Like, can you have sex in heaven? And if it is sex, is it just making love, or is it like fucking? Like, is there, what I mean? Like that.
Like, what is it? Like, why? Yeah, why?
Because there's a difference. It feels like there's a difference. Like,
yeah,
I can
the fact
tell
that
when. Sorry, go.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I can definitely tell the difference between, like, there's definitely a different vibe going on when you're like making love and when you're like tearing at each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference in like the mood.
Yeah.
And I wonder if like one is acceptable in heaven and one's not, or I wonder if, like, I don't know.
Yeah, like just having sexual desire in spiritual creatures is one thing, but like for some painful sex is actually kind of fun, but there's no pain in heaven. Maybe that's why they
Oh,
came
yeah.
down. Maybe that's why they came down, because they couldn't get that up in heaven. Because there's no pain, there's no suffering up in heaven.
Yeah.
I think we cracked the
Damn.
case here. I didn't
Yeah, we
expect it.
cracked
I
the
didn't
case.
expect to have revolutionary
Yeah.
discoveries in biblical mythology so soon, but it's a thing. So anyway, so according to the Jehovah's Witnesses, and for some of the later ones, we're actually going to read some scriptures. As boring as that sounds, but for the Jehovah's Witnesses one, angels are simply fallen, or demons are simply fallen angels. Came down from heaven, had relations with humans. This is like Greek mythology levels of smut, which we've already kind of gone into, because Greek mythology has all that kind of the stuff in there. Zeus had the hots for human women. That's where he got Hercules from and such. Yeah. So where would this type of demon rank in our list? I know we don't have anything to compare it to yet.
What, like,
But
so
these-
just the angels?
Just the angels coming down and just getting busy with the women.
Well, that
'Cause-
is kind of badass. Although,
Because they
Is it-
didn't really cause any trouble. It was their offspring that caused the trouble, the Nephilim. So
but is it how we need to work? What's the criteria in which we're ranking them? Is
That's
it
a
just
great
like
question.
Coolness level, or is it like danger level, or like what is it?
that's a great question. It's not something I thought of. So we should probably pick one.
Um,
I was kind of looking at it from like a level of power. Like, what did this demon accomplish? Considering that this prompted God to flood the planet and kill everything, it compelled God, the Almighty God, it compelled an Almighty God to do something terrible. I would actually say that's pretty powerful. Forcing God to do
That is
something that's
true.
like terrible.
If we're looking at it from like power level, like we can think of it like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like over 9,000, like that kind of vibe. Like, so if we think of these as like Dragon Ball Z characters, I would have to say the original angels were maybe like the original Saiyans. I don't know if you can put them in an S tier though, or because although they did a lot of crazy stuff, I'd have to say A or B, because they calling angels like having an angels as S tier demons just feels funny to me. They're definitely like have accomplished a lot, but was it like kind of by accident? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think they necessarily set out to force God to do something. It was kind of inadvertent that this actually happened. It wasn't like a master plan. All they want to do is get their rocks off. So maybe from a point of view of planning, they kind of just bumbled their way into making God look like a schmuck with having to flood the planet. I don't know. I would say just we got to start somewhere. We need to set a standard.
Let's go
I say
B
maybe
tier.
B tier. Okay, yeah, just nice and straight down the middle.
Nice
Okay,
and
awesome.
straight down the middle, yeah.
All
Then,
right.
because they're not like, because I think you also need to take in, so you need to take in power level, like how they affected things, but also like how demon are they? Like these angels didn't necessarily, they're not like in it. You know what I mean? Where like Satan is like in it. He's like 100% like I am the devil. Like he's like, where angels are kind of like no.
Yeah, like it's it seems like at first they were just like, we just want to get our rocks off, we don't care, and then hey, our actions can compel God to do things he doesn't want to do. So maybe they kind of like stumbled ass backwards into like a plan, and then maybe later on when they started doing all their other demonic stuff, they were like, okay, now we got a system going into place. Maybe they were kind of feeling it out as they went. If you pardon the pun, feeling it out. Okay, cool. All right, so we got our first one. Angels, they are C or B tier, right in the middle. And you'll notice that we don't have an F tier here tonight, folks. We only have S through D. I didn't want to have an F tier in here because I wanted to show at least some reverence to these cherished stories. So yeah, no F tier. We're not going to be that cruel tonight.
No.
All right.
So many people are going to be picking this apart and being like, they're laughing at demons. They can't even put them in an F tier. They
can't even take this seriously.
I
You
wonder
aren't
how many
engaging.
people.
You aren't engaging the material on its level. It's like we're not
I
here for
wonder.
that, folks.
I wonder if like how many people have switched this off or think that we are demon possessed on some level. Like
It could be.
it's almost like a definite that someone has done that. If you have, if you think we're demon possessed, let us know in the comments down below.
Yeah.
Love to
Hey,
hear
yeah.
about
Let
it.
us know. And that's a great thing you just brought up, Dave, because I forgot to mention it. If anybody has a suggestion on where to go, put it in the chat. If you think that we're missing something, put it in the chat. I will try to catch it. But yeah, correct us if we're wrong. If we are mistreating these beloved stories, please let us know. We want
Yeah.
we want to be very careful with this. Yes, Nitty, thank you. Engage that algorithm for Satan. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Next one on the list. Very closely related to the angels. It's the Nephilim. So, witnesses do not believe that the Nephilim themselves were demon. They were just simply angel
They were
human
like
hybrids. Yeah. They were angel human hybrids that like caused a lot of problems on the planet, and then they were all killed at the flood.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the Book of Enoch, some more Orthodox religions look at the Book of Enoch, which is not in Bible canon, but it is considered by these Orthodox, a certain subset of Orthodox, to be historical. The Nephilim, during the flood, I believe, left their physical bodies and they became demons. So the Nephilim, the offspring of these humans and angels, caused some problems on the planet, forced God to kill everyone. And during the flood, they left those bodies and became the demons. And that's according to them. So, with that in mind, where would they rank? Because now these are they became demons when they left.
I remember asking, getting invited to a Christian Discord server. I went along. I told them, like, hey, I'm an atheist. If anyone wants to ask me questions, jump in. And this lady jumped in and started being really rude. And then I asked her, how do you feel about, the Israelites killing babies of other nations? And I gave her the scriptures. And her excuse was, well, maybe they were Nephilim. So maybe the whole nation were Nephilim. So,
Yeah.
there's always a way to get around everything. But so I don't know. I feel like Nephilim would have to be. It's definitely around the middle. It's either A, B, or C. What do you think? Let's throw it out to the chat. Where's a Nephilim higher or lower than angels?
Because here's a thing to consider. I don't know if this represents a lot of these the subset of the Ethiopian Orthodox type view of the Book of Enoch. There was a guy named Whitsitt in a debate for modern day debates the other night. He was talking about the Book of Enoch, and he claimed, I'm not saying this is representative, but he claimed that all babies, by the time of the flood, all human babies were Nephilim hybrid, so that justified God in killing them all. During the flood, the Nephilim left their bodies. The flood occurred, and then after the flood was over, the Nephilim just came right back into new human bodies and continued to proliferate and become and make more Nephilim. So not only did that mean God failed to eliminate the problem with the worldwide flood, they came right back and just caused these problems all over again. And there was a great comment earlier. What was it from Melody Joy? Was Jesus a Nephilim? Because angel human hybrid, God human hybrid? Is there really much of a distinction there? Was Jesus a Nephilim?
How dare you, Joy? How dare you?
I know. How dare you bring reasonable questions into this discussion?
Melody, sorry. That's
I say considering in this story that the Nephilim, according to at least Whitsitt, I believe, and probably these other folks, the Nephilim are still here and causing problems. They evaded God's solution to the issue. They made God flood the planet for no good reason because it didn't fix the issue, and they're still here causing problems. I say that's B tier. Outwitting God, that's pretty up there, I would say.
I think it could even go to A tier. I'll tell you why. Because angels, right, is a group. Nephilim is a group. Some of these we have here are like single demons, right? So you're like, okay, so I think you got to give some lenience there because it's like a whole group of demons. Also, Nephilim are not really spoken about as much as angels. They're kind of like they're kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like It's kind of a
It,
cool story from the Bible. It's like a weird. It just encompasses all of that first part that we talked about with the angels, but it's just kind of
yeah.
like, yeah,
To me, the Nephilim always felt like a plot device in the book of Genesis. It's like, well, God flooded the planet, so why did God flood the planet? Oh, there were these angel human hybrids, and they were causing all kinds of problems, and they were
mm.
really big, and they were beating up, I don't know, people for their food. It's like,
Yeah. God
yeah,
couldn't just kill the Nephilim; he had to kill everything, even like
yeah,
the butterflies and the kittens and the babies. And
yeah,
it's super weird to me that like, and this is a random aside, but like, it's super weird to me that like God created the earth in 7 days, but still needs people to donate to his church to keep the lights running.
yeah.
It seems insulting, to a
It does.
creator that could, yeah.
Yeah,
But
a
anyway,
creator, a creator you can make literally gold rain from the sky, but no,
yeah,
little Timmy needs to give up his
right.
ice cream money because
Yeah, yeah,
that
exactly,
that that
exactly,
brings God glory. Yeah, exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so hey, we have the Nephilim at A tier. The Nephilim, according to the Book of Enoch, are still here, or I'm sorry, according to Whitsitt, who likes the Book of Enoch, is still here and causing problems. So okay, awesome. All right, our next one. I wanted to get this one out of the way quickly because this almost seems like the
Oh,
obvious top contender in the pool of demons.
it
We're
is
talking
the
about
coolest one.
Legion. It is. It's
Yeah,
kind of it's an interesting story. It's the one with the most detail for sure. Like
yeah.
this is a multi-step story that Jesus took participated in the Bible. I mean, you have it all. You have an ensemble cast of an unknown number of demons. You have Jesus. You have the dude who's possessed, and you have a herd of pigs, and they all tie
Mm.
together into this epic that is the story of Legion. And I love the fact that this AI generated me a swarm of demonic looking pigs, and it's just
Yeah,
yeah,
it's cool AI. I just
it's
subscribed
good
to it, so you're gonna see some
good
cool
stuff.
deep drinks logos coming up soon.
Yeah,
Um,
you'll notice a lot more channels using this too. This is basically Mid Journey AI, and you can generate these images right through Discord. It's pretty amazing stuff.
yeah.
So anyway, Legion. Let's actually go to the story of Legion in the Bible and take a look and see what it says because some people might not be familiar with it.
I
It's
I I and I have a little bit of a random aside about this that will point to one of my
sure,
videos, but we can touch that after we read the story.
sure, that sounds good. So I got this set here to. This is 20 verses. I'm gonna try to skip over some stuff that we don't need, but essentially,
No, read the whole thing, I reckon, because
you want the whole
it'll
thing?
help.
Okay,
Yeah, give us the whole thing. Give us the whole
okay.
thing.
Let me wet my whistle and then I'll
Okay,
start
actually,
start talking.
read the whole thing, right? But everyone take note of what you're listening to, and then I'm going to read something that's going to blow everyone's mind. Okay?
Alrighty.
All
Cool.
right.
So yeah, just to recap, I'm gonna read the Bible, and then Dave is gonna read you something else, and we'll let
Okay.
you put it together. So,
Okay.
okay, so this is Mark. Sorry, I lost the scripture. This is Mark chapter 5, verses 1 through 20. They went across the lake to the region of Gerasenes, whatever.
Gerasenes.
Gerasenes. Hey, there you go. Look at you speaking Hebrew words. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tomb to meet him. The man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in all the hills he would cry out and cut himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell to his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs. Allow us to go into them." He gave them permission, and the impure spirit came out and went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. That's probably all we need to read here. I don't think we need to go any further
Yeah.
than
No,
that.
that's
Let's just skip to verse 20.
yeah.
Verse 20. So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed, and everyone clapped. So that's the story of Legion from the book of Mark. David, you made an astute observation a while ago about this.
Well, it wasn't my observation. It was Dennis R. McDonald's observation. And people can let me just chuck the go look at this video after the stream ends. It's but I'll just drop it in the chat. But so there's this professor, Professor David Dennis R. McDonald, and he talks about the similarities between Odysseus and the story of Mark, right? And so he puts them side by side, and I'll just read a few. Odysseus and his crew sailed to the land of the Cyclops. Jesus and his disciples sailed to the region of the Gerasenes. On the mountain of the Cyclops, goats grazed. On the mountain, a large herd of swine grazed. Odysseus and his crew disembarked. Jesus and his disciple disembarked. They encountered a savage, lawless giant who lived in a cave. They encountered a savage, lawless demoniac who lived amongst the caves. So I'm reading like Odysseus and then Mark. Okay, Polyphemus usually was depicted nude. The demoniac was nude. Odysseus asks why him not to harm her. Odysseus, swear me an oath not to plan another plot again or hurt me. The demoniac recognized Jesus and asked him not to harm him. The giant asked Odysseus his name. Jesus asked the demoniac his name. Odysseus answered, "Nobody is my name." The demoniac answered, "Legion is my name." And you think about Legion. Legion is like the Roman army, right? It's like the legions of the Roman army who were in power against taking over Palestine at the time. Odysseus subdued the giant with violence and trickery. Jesus subdued about 2,000 demons with divine power and sent them into the swine, and then drove the swine into the lake. Polyphemus, the shepherd, called out to the neighbors. The swineherds called out to the neighbors. The Cyclops came to the site asking about Polyphemus's lost sheep. The Gerasenes came to the site to find out about their lost swine. Odysseus and crew embarked. Jesus and his disciples embarked. I'll just skip to the other page. Odysseus told the giant to proclaim that he had blinded him. Odysseus tell him that I blinded you. Tell him that Odysseus is the one who blinded you. Jesus told the healed demoniac to proclaim what God had done for him. The giant asked Odysseus, now aboard the ship, to come back. The demoniac asked Jesus, now upon the ship, if he could be with him. Odysseus refused the request. Jesus refused the request. Odysseus and his crew sailed away. Jesus and his disciples sail away. So it's straight afterwards, Jesus awoke during a storm in the episode immediately following the story. But in the story of Jesus was on the lake of Galilee, and there was a storm, and he woke and he calmed the waters. So you can see these parallels running, right? And
that's like beat for beat. Yeah, beat for beat similar.
And the Iliad was written 800 years before these stories were written in the Bible. So it's crazy. To me, that's really wild.
That's nuts. I made you a moderator in the chat. Post that link one more time so people can take a look at it, if you will. It's just beat for beat from the document that David showed me from earlier. Story of Legion with Jesus, Odysseus. It's
just so similar, and
suspiciously similar.
And in that link that I posted, go check it out after this. You don't want to miss this live, but after this, and you can see the side by side, and Derek's going through it. It's wild. It's really wild.
Yeah. So coming back to Legion. Legion's a spectacular story, but if you really look at it, though, Legion's a weak-ass demon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And here's why. Multiple demons possessing one man. If you look at it from a human resource or perhaps a demonic resource point of view, let's say Satan's in charge and allocating resources, you can allocate one demon to one human. That makes sense. Why are you allocating multiple demons to one human? Why are these demons kind of just incompetent? Do they need to work together in order to take care of one human? It doesn't quite make sense why multiple demons would be inside of one man. If you look at it from a story progression type point of view, a good example is a Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, very simple stories, one character doing one thing. And then as you go on, things get more and more complex, and you got to like kind of constantly ramp up the tension, ramp up the scale of everything. We're not dealing with one demon anymore, we're dealing with multiple demons, all this kind of stuff. This feels like just the gradual progression of just, hey, we have all these demon stories, we need to like amp it up a little bit to get more people convinced, so we're adding more demons to the mix. At least that's what it feels like to me. The fact that this demon begged Jesus not to cast him out and then requested be cast into pigs, like what it really doesn't make any sense why this demon asked for this.
And not only that, but why would Jesus say yes to that? Like, why would Jesus go, okay, yeah, I'll do what you want, demon? But then also, what the fuck the pigs ever do? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, sure, they were unclean animals, but they're piggies. Like, at least they're cute.
And then also, why did they jump off? Like, what was the point if they were immediately going to die? Like, put us into those pigs. Oh, pigs are now possessed. Let's jump off a cliff. Now,
that's my question.
Same result. Yeah, it's the same
like,
result. It's
they went into the sea. Maybe that's symbolic of something. But once those pigs died, did the demons just continue to inhabit pig corpses, or did they leave? Oh, maybe they transfer to fishes. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, there are some ugly fishes in the ocean. And yeah, like that's.
It's funny. I had a Marxist professor come on and talk about the Jesus and class conflict, and he talked about doing a fishing trip to the Sea of Galilee. And I will eat fish as a vegetarian. I won't be a vegetarian anymore if I do that, but I'll eat a fish if it's like a cousin of the great cousin of one of the fishes Jesus ate. Like that's a wild thing. Anyway.
Yeah, and that poor pig farmer. Like, can you imagine having 200 pigs in a herd? And you're like, hey, I got 200 pigs. My life is good. And then Jesus walks by and goes, demon, into those pigs. And your pigs suddenly die.
Yeah.
Did Jesus compensate this farmer? Was there, like, pig insurance back then? I don't know. There's so many questions.
Yeah.
All right. So, Legion. Multiple demons doing the job of one demon. Begging Jesus to be sent into pigs and then dying immediately. Where does this go?
The thing is, it has power level low, but it is cool.
Yeah,
so it's like
it's showy. But like, where is it in the grand scheme of things? How did Legion affect anything ever? I mean, sure, probably bankrupted that farmer, but what else did?
What's that? You know, it's kind of like, you know, when you're writing a story, you got to shoot your puppies. You know, you got to shoot the things that you love. You might have to. You know, I love this story, but we might have to rate it low. It might have to be even a C tier. I don't know.
I would actually. Yeah, I guess D tier is the bottom. Because
it can't be a D tier. It has to be at least a C tier.
I'm down for C.
Iconic. Yeah. Okay. Let's do C. C's good.
I'm down for C. Yeah, I think C's a good spot because Legion's a loser. I'm sorry. Like, seriously.
Please.
Yeah. Belongs to C tier. Okay, cool. We're done with Legion. So we're gonna get into like the more obscure stuff at this point, because these, like I said, in the New Testament, there's very few demons actually listed, even less so in the Old Testament, let alone by name. But the next one is Abaddon. Should have probably queued up his picture first. Bam. Abaddon. So
this AI art is so cool.
Yeah, this is, and it's like, man, Mid-Journey's so easy. You just give it some keywords and then you start tweaking it. Oh man, it puts out some really good stuff. My condolences to any artists in the audience. I have a few artist friends, and man, I know Mid-Journey is a threat. I feel for you.
No, it's a threat to everything, like AI.
Yeah,
like,
even my job. I'm a software developer, and I'm feeling the pressure. I'm like, yeah, one day this thing's gonna be writing code. It already is kind of.
It wrote the code for, like, I gave it some code for my website. I didn't like it, my website, and I got it to make all the changes. And I just kept saying, no, not like that. Do it more like this, and then it made me my website. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Ember says Abaddon is a fast. And apparently Abaddon is also a Warhammer 40k character too. I
Oh,
was actually going to use his image, but man, he's got an awesome figurine. He's got his sword and he's all buff in his armor and stuff. Yeah.
I bought. I remember
Uh,
being into 40k when I was younger, and
yeah.
when I was like, 10 years ago now, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get back into it. Did all this research. I decided to do, not they're descendants of elves, but they're not elves. What race is that? I forgot what race it is. Anyway, I bought all the stuff, spent about $190 on it, then did nothing with it. I didn't even take it out of the box. It's still sitting there. Eldar.
Yikes.
Eldar, I think it is. Yeah.
The Eldar, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with StarCraft and how StarCraft aped off of Warhammer. And I guess
Wait, do you play?
Warhammer also.
This is a random aside. Only interesting.
Yeah.
Do you play StarCraft 2?
I have played a lot of StarCraft 2, yes. Not recently, but I
You've got
played
to
a
have
lot
a
of
game.
StarCraft.
Neither.
I have
You got to have a game.
I have all 3 collector's editions up there on this top shelf.
Oh, we're gonna have a
I
game.
am super rusty. I will be terrible. But yeah, absolutely. I'll play with you. Yeah.
Who do you
absolutely.
play? Protoss, Zerg, or Terran?
I play all of them. I used to be a really big Protoss player and also Terran.
I love Protoss.
Yeah.
Zerg.
Yeah. So
Hate Zerg.
awesome. sounds like Ember might want to join us too. But
Yeah, let's do it. Let's have a gaming session. I've got a gaming
let's
channel.
do
We'll go
that.
over there.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, so Abaddon. Abaddon is really weird because certain Christian denominations consider Abaddon to be Satan himself. In fact, if we pull up the Bible passage on Abaddon, pull this over here.
So I never even heard of Abaddon.
Yeah,
But-
Abaddon is interesting. We're talking about Revelation verses 9, 1 through 11. So now keep in mind that Revelation is a fevered dream. It's a fevered dream of
really
someone hopped up on psychedelic mushrooms who also ate bad pizza. Like, it's crazy what's in Revelation.
Yeah.
And I liken it to that the writer is essentially like the first century version of Roland Emmerich, like the guy who made Independence Day in 2012
Oh, yeah.
and
Well,
The Day After Tomorrow.
something
this-
that a lot of people don't realize is it is a fever dream. It feels like that
Yeah.
to us, but this is just a style of literature. Like, you know how you're like poems, history, apocalyptic literature. Apocalyptic
Yeah.
literature was just like this, and Revelations is like one of many that were written and talked about at the time. Like the apocalyptic
Yeah.
preaching. This is not
This is Revelation is one of many of these types of documents. Revelation just happened to make the cut for the Bible. There's a lot that was discarded aside from that. But yeah, anyway, it's just it's insanity in there. So anyway, let's talk about Abaddon. Abaddon, like I said, many denominations consider this to be referring to the devil himself or Satan, but let's go ahead for a moment, just treat Abaddon on his own. So it says, and the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall upon heaven onto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and upon them was given power, and as scorpions of the earth have power. And they commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle. And on the heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as faces of men. And they had hair as hair of women, and their teeth were as of the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound their wings was as the sound of chariots, and many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings on their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. and they had a king over them, which was the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. I got another awesome link here. The Jehovah's Witnesses had a whole book on the, or had a whole publication on the book of Revelation, and they had some amazing illustrations. And this is like 1970s, 1980s. They had some amazing illustrations on Abaddon. In fact, I can't find it because I didn't save it. So hold on, give me a second here. So while I'm looking for this, what's your thoughts on this?
It's very cool. Like it makes me want to learn Greek, ancient Greek, so I can read it in its original language, because it's just so epic. It reminds me a little bit of Dante's Inferno, like the Divine Comedy.
Yeah, that I've always likened Dante's Inferno to the Book of Revelation. Dante's Inferno definitely, apocalyptic, vengeful. Embarrassing story. When I was not a popular kid in school, partially because of my personality, but also partially because I was a Jehovah's Witness and I didn't celebrate holidays, do anything else like that. By sixth grade, I was a little resentful about how I was treated in school. So I remember one day in PE class, I had my yearbook, the yearbook for the year with all the pictures and stuff in it. And I remember sitting in the corner of the gym, looking at people I didn't like in gym, and writing in the yearbook next to their name, just writing shit about them. Like, this guy's got buck teeth. This guy has a lisp. Like, cringy. Yeah, I was a stupid ass kid. Yeah. I definitely don't do this today at all. Anyway, but I was just writing shit about these people that I didn't like in my yearbook. Dante, when I studied Dante in college, that's the vibe I got from Dante. Dante was just writing shit about people he didn't like. He was just fantasizing about them just suffering forever.
Yeah.
Like,
because he was exiled, right? Like he was like exiled or something.
Yeah,
like
I think so.
Yeah, he was like exiled, and like what he wrote was like political commentary essentially. It's just that to be honest, like the one thing that if it didn't have those opening lines, I wouldn't. I came midway through the journey of life. I found myself in a dark forest where the straight path was lost. That to me is like amazing poetry. Like, yeah. Damn.
I mean, I don't dismiss the effect that Dante has had on literature and stuff like that. I mean, it's taught in virtually every literature class ever. But it really does feel like it really does feel like a sixth grade Eric just writing crap about people he doesn't like. Anyway, here's an illustration from the Book of Revelation describing these horse, locust, scorpion, man, lion creatures that Abaddon is king over. So, but here's the thing though, Abaddon only sicks these goons on man for 5 months. I know it's all literal. I mean, I know it's all figurative. It's Revelation. It's mostly figurative. But what if it was literal? What if Abaddon was like, for 5 months, these are like my flying monkeys. I'm going to send these out and have them torment man. I don't know. Like,
it's pretty cool. I never, ever have seen an image like this before. This will haunt my dreams. I love it. There's,
with you saying that, I should probably do a whole episode on the book of the Revelation publication from the Jehovah's Witnesses on the Book of Revelation, because this is just scratching the surface of what was drawn in that book. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, that's what I was saying before. Is like the Jehovah's Witnesses like none of this stuff out, which is kind of cool, but but also probably highly damaging because they think it's real.
They really try to make it work. Like they really try to make sense of it, and it's very. Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms.
There's a distinctive style to a Jehovah's Witness artwork as well.
Yeah.
I would say that has to be A tier or B tier. Like
that's pretty scary. Even if I was in that 5 months when man was being tormented, that shit would stick with me forever.
Yeah.
Like if I saw that. So yeah, maybe A tier. It's right up there with the Nephilim.
Yeah.
Because the Nephilim are still around. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
A tier?
A tier, yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Did I show? I showed Avalon. Yeah, I showed Avalon again. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Awesome. So Avalon is done. We We should probably
Does
pick up the
anyone
pace a little
disagree
bit.
with Does anyone disagree with our positioning in the chat? Like, I think we're done pretty good. I think it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I'm
But does
feeling good
anyone
about this,
disagree?
but yeah, if anybody in the chat wants to
Challenge
pipe
us.
in, yeah, challenge us. Say, hey, no, you're wrong.
All right,
You're
not yet.
objectively wrong.
Carly says not yet. There's I do want to say too, I do this with people on other channels. So if any people from that are subscribed to you that aren't subscribed to me, if they come over to Deep Drinks and they like say hello in the comments or whatever, if they put a certain emoji, I'll know that they've come from this channel, and I'll make sure to like secretly give them a little shout out, or I'll make sure to reply to them. So with Derek, we have a wizard hat because Derek is a wizard. With Neil, we have a wand. With Godless Engineer, we have a whale to symbolize whale dicks. What is your emoji going to be when people come over to? What is the Skeptics and Scoundrels emoji when people come over? They can post it in the comments, and I can know that they come from this channel.
That's a good question. I would love to have an emoji. All right, we'll let people mull on that, and we'll get into the next one here. Yeah. The next one we've got going here, we're going to start getting to demons that aren't explicitly named with proper nouns in the Bible, but we're going to start giving them our own names. This one I'm calling Zipperface. So so here's what Zipperface is all about. Zipperface is very briefly mentioned in the Bible. And his deal is, let me go ahead and switch the tab. Very, very brief here, but here's Zipperface's story. While they were going out, a man who was demon possessed and could not talk was brought to Jesus. And when that demon was driven out, the men who had been mute spoke. The crowd was amazed and said, "Nothing like this has ever been seen in Israel." But the Pharisees said, "It is by the prince of demons he drives out demons." And everyone clapped. So that's why. So when I went to the AI and I typed this in, I told the AI, "Hey, I need a demon. I want him to have a zipper for a mouth because he's muting the person he's possessing." And then I also said leathery skin, and then the AI took that as demon leather luggage with a zipper.
It reminds me of the Slipknot character, the one with the zip on his face. But yeah, that's cool. I mean, not super,
not very impressive.
Cool art, but yeah, it's definitely on the bottom half.
Yeah, I think Zipperface is definitely D tier.
Yeah.
Especially considering we have so many mute people and we know psychological causes for this. Oh, yeah. That this story was like, because that's all the story says. This guy was mute and they attributed it to a demon.
What if it was just like a Buddhist monk who was practicing like silence?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
maybe Jesus kind of... maybe Jesus strolled up and said, "Hey, can you speak?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, I can." Hey, cured. Demon's gone.
It does bother me that it does bother me that like a lot of these things could be seen as just like mental illnesses and things like that. And you'd expect if Jesus was the Son of God to know that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's D tier. This is like bottom of the barrel.
D tier. Yeah.
Like, man.
The artwork is S tier. The
thank you.
artwork is S tier. D tier for sure.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah, definitely the author did not try very hard with this one. All right, so here's our next unnamed demon. This guy's got a special place in my heart. We're calling this one Bubbles. So Bubbles also has a very short story in the Bible. Nothing really like we can sink our teeth into. This will also be another very quick one. This is just 6 verses. And so with Bubbles, here's the story. Jesus left that place and went to the vicinity of Tyre. He entered a house and did not want anyone to know it, yet he could not keep his presence secret. In fact, as soon as she heard about him, a woman whose little daughter was possessed by an impure spirit came and fell at his feet. The woman was a Greek, born in Syria and Phoenicia. She begged Jesus to drive the demon out of her daughter. First, let the children eat all they want, he told her, for it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to little dogs. So, yikes, a little bit of racism there, Jesus.
Yeah.
Lord, she replied, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. Then he told her, for such a reply you may go. The demon has left your daughter. She went home and found her child lying on the bed and the demon gone.
So is it true? Is this the story where there are different accounts? So in I think in a different gospel, Jesus actually goes to the home. I'm not actually sure, but
that was a good question. Yeah.
There's something to do with this. There's an inconsistency here. I think when maybe when the Syrophoenician woman goes back, either the child is already healed or child is later healed. I'm not sure, but I think there's an inconsistency here. I'm not sure. I'll have to.
It might have
check.
I'll call up full trans.
Bart Ehrman. He's like a favorite in my contacts. So I'll go like,
you got him on speed dial. Yeah.
Yeah. I got him on speed dial. Yeah.
Did Bart say, "Hey, call me anytime, any day.
Yeah, anytime.
I will be here for you."
Yeah. We're buds. Yeah,
I would love to sit there and just listen to Bart talk about just say, "Hey, Bart, tell me about the Bible." Just free flow talking. Tell me about the Bible because he's
my dream is to be invited over his house for like whiskey and cigars, even though I don't smoke. And just be getting drunk with him and just being like, tell me about this, and he's just like loose and it's off the record and he can say whatever he wants. Like that's my dream, you know.
Bart Ehrman, Mr. Ehrman, Dr. Ehrman, if you ever hear this broadcast, me and David, we would love to come over. We would love to come over to your home. We'll pay for the trip. Give us cigars and whiskey and just talk about the Bible. Let's film it. Let's do it. Please. I would love that. But anyway, so so the scripture here talks about an impure spirit, and other translations call it an unclean spirit. So that's why I set up Bubbles to be a baby, because it was a young daughter of a woman. It doesn't say how young, but baby, unclean, dirty, blah. It's an unclean spirit possessing a baby. Setting aside Jesus's racism, where does this sit in here? Like,
it's D tier. It has to be D tier.
It's bad, right? It's terrible.
Yeah, it's not. It's nothing. It's just like it's like a child who's
Yeah, and on top of that, here's the thing though. So like you brought up a very good point. I didn't see if this was actually like in the other gospels because I only have so much time and I can only do so much research.
Yeah.
But yeah, how did this eyewitness of Mark know that she went home and the child was cured? Did he go home with her and go, yeah, that's definitely a cured baby, and then he left? How did he know this?
Yeah.
Was it just a hey, we need to have Jesus be the good guy and win? So there, I don't know. It raises some interesting questions about this passage, because if Mark was hanging out with Jesus, why would Jesus tell Mark, hey, go home and go with her and verify that this actually happened? Was he just going off of Jesus? It doesn't make any sense, but anyway.
Yeah, so I just found it in Matthew 15:21 to 28. And the Lord's and it's called the Canaanite woman there, and it says, yes, it is, Lord. She said, even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. Then Jesus said to her, woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted. And her daughter was healed at that moment, where the Mark version says she went home and found her child lying on the ground and the demon had gone. Okay, cool. So that's, I have to look at other gospels, but not
so we got at least two accounts there then.
Yeah.
Okay. But they're both pretty much the same, it sounds like.
They're both pretty much the same, yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to look more into it.
Cool. Okay. Next one. So
we
everybody
got the tier list the tier list on the screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I've already moved Bubbles to D tier.
Yep. Bubbles is D tier.
Thank you. Thank you for calling me out on that. Yeah.
No, that's right.
So yeah, Bubbles is D tier. All right, so we're going on next. Everybody knows this name of Mary Magdalene, but not many people know that Mary Magdalene's introduction to Jesus was when she was possessed or haunted by 7 demons. And the AI was stupid. the AI was stupid, and Midjourney was stupid. It only gave me 6 demons in the image, so forgive me. But you get
Yeah.
the idea. Anyway, I'm calling her Mary Magdalene because, yeah, she was 6. She had 7 demons inside of her. Like that's yeah. Let's take a look at this account, and this is also a very short account, only 2 verses, which we can look at. But this is basically how Mary Magdalene was introduced. Luke 8 verses 1 through 2. After that, Jesus traveled about from one town and village to another, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom of God. The 12 were with him, and also some women who had been cured of evil spirits and diseases. Mary, called Magdalene, from whom 7 demons were cast out. Another kind of
it's nothing. It's a nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a? It might be a D tier again. It might not be. What do you think?
It might be. Yeah, like 7 demons possessing one person.
Yeah.
Why? Why not just one demon? Why do those other 6 demons go off and be more productive? Like Satan really needs a new human resource department or demon resource department to allocate resources properly.
100%. D tier.
Yeah. Okay. A D tier. All right. Mary, you are D tier. I'm so sorry. Even though you're a beloved character and some would say a lover of Jesus. Have you heard of that theory? Mary Magdalene and Jesus were.
Oh yeah, I have. Isn't that like
an item?
Da Vinci Code or something? I can't really remember.
Might be. Man, it's been such a long time. I only watched the movies.
I never seen the movie. I just know about it.
Forever ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really. Yeah, I don't know. Like. So here's the thing, though. That kind of goes back to the angels. Angels have sexual desires, right? We had angels having sexual desires coming down to earth to breed with women. Jesus, spiritual creature, was a man. Maybe had sexual desires.
It is weird to think about that. It is weird to think about like Jesus going through puberty and having like wet dreams and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Like what? How does the Bible even begin to account for this, or even begin to address this?
I think there is like a
churches are like, churches are like, just don't think about it. Don't think about it. Yeah. Unnecessary. But these are things that would be implicated if Jesus was in fact a man, and also comes from spiritual creatures who have sexual desires. That's a good question, Jake. Did he have acne? Did he have blemishes on his face? Because if he had blemishes on his face, he would not be allowed into the assembly of the Lord, according to some scripture in the Old Testament.
Leviticus somewhere, yeah.
Leviticus something, yeah. Carrie Ann says Lilith, Jules, and wet dreams, yeah. I really can't wait until Diablo 4 comes out. Diablo 4 comes out, it's a video game, comes out in a month and a half, and Lilith is the big bad in that video game. I've never played
Diablo, but I'm looking forward to one day getting into it, yeah.
Man, Diablo 2 is amazing.
Crawler, right?
Yeah, it is. It's an American RPG dungeon crawler, kind of a gear grind type game. Like you're gonna constantly gear up and get better and better and better and more powerful. Yeah. Amazing cinematics, a really dark story, hopelessness. Like it's a great Halloween game, but it's also a great game all around. But anyway, I'm not sponsored by Blizzard, but I think it's like June 5th or something like that. Diablo comes out.
I'm looking. Yeah. I know that when the new Zelda comes out, I'll be spending all my time on that.
Yeah, it's actually a good month for games. End of this month is Jedi Outcast, and then Legend of Zelda, and then Diablo 4. So yeah, my summer is planned out. Anyway, okay, so Mary Magdalene is down there. All right, let's talk about party animals. Party animals is our next one. And it's this beautiful graphic. Also, another really crazy low effort story. Not a lot of detail, but let's take a look at what it says. And I believe this is also 2 verses. Yes, it is just 2 verses. The verses are in Luke chapter 13, verses 31 to 32. Again, about Jesus. The same day there came certain of the Pharisees, saying unto him, Jesus, get thee out and depart hence, for Herod will kill thee. So I guess Jesus had some allies amongst the Pharisees, and they were trying to help him out to get him out of trouble. And he said unto them, Go ye and tell that fox, Behold, I cast out demons, and I do cures today and tomorrow, and the third day I shall be perfected. So Jesus basically said, hey, this party ain't stopping until I say it stops.
I never even picked that up.
Yeah, like to me, that's fascinating that Jesus had allies among the Pharisees. It's actually theorized that Jesus himself was a Pharisee, an apocalyptic Pharisee. Yeah, I believe I'm getting that right. It's theorized that he was, because he was an apocalyptic preacher. There's some ideas that he wasn't actually a Jewish Pharisee who just had really radical ideas that got him into trouble.
It is like when I was going through ministry college and everything, like it was always taught that the Pharisees were just essentially like bishops and popes of Rome. Like they were like the really religious people and stuff. They weren't. Well, they were, but they weren't. They were a sect of Judaism. The same with the Sadducees and the not the Essenes, but there was another group as well. But it's like they were sects. It's like, you know, like Pentecostal, Anglican. You know, like yeah.
All kinds of theories and hypotheses behind that. Pragmatic Crystal, thank you so much. Hit that like button, please, everyone. Drop a comment, slam that like button, drop a comment, like, share, and subscribe. All that. It helps the algorithm, gets my channel up and running. We're at 28 right now. I noticed we hit 30, which is a new peak for the channel. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming in. Awesome.
That's so good.
We are obviously blessed here at Skeptics and Scoundrels. So thank you so much.
The demon algorithms need.
I'll take whatever help I can get. I'll take whatever help I can get. If this is the demons doing this, thank you, demons.
Each like each time you like this stream, it's a kitten that's sacrificed for the blood of the...
Exactly.
That got dark real quick.
Let the sacrifices flow. Okay, so so party animals. It's like there's multiple demons Jesus is casting out. Jesus said, "I'm not stopping for no one." That's all we got.
Yeah, it's so low on the iconic level, and it's so low on. I hate to put another one in D tier, but I feel like it just has to be in D tier. But I don't know. What do you think?
I completely agree. Actually, D tier is it's unspecific. D tier's filling up. It is. Yeah, I'm noticing a pattern here. Lack of detail. Just a general, Jesus is doing this amazing thing, but no meat, like nothing to like really sink your teeth into.
Yeah. It's not iconic. Legion is iconic. Abaddon is iconic. Nephilim are iconic. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're done with the party animals. I like this one. This is a really fun one coming up. I'm calling this one. There's another unnamed demon in the Bible, but I'm calling him Robe the Disrober. Not Rob, because we're talking Hebrew here. Because when you talk about Job, it's not Job, it's Job. So we're talking about Robe the Disrober. Robe the Disrober is an interesting one. It's also from the Bible. Let me see here. Make sure we got... Cool. Only 6 verses. Again, Jesus comes in and saves the day. But here's what it says. Now God worked unusual miracles by the hands of Paul. I take that back. I'm sorry. We're talking about Paul here at this point, no longer Jesus, because this is the Acts of the Apostles. Now God worked unusual miracles by the hands of Paul, so that even handkerchiefs or aprons were brought from his body to the sick, and the diseases left them, and the evil spirits went out of them. So I'm guessing he blessed bandages that were used on sick people. I don't know. Then some of the itinerant Jewish exorcists took it upon themselves to call out the name of the Lord Jesus over those who had evil spirits, saying, "We exorcise you by the Jesus whom Paul preaches." And there were 7 sons of Sceva, a Jewish chief priest, who did so. And the evil spirit answered and said, "Jesus I know, and Paul I know, but who are you?" Then the man in whom the evil spirit was leaped on them, overpowered them, and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of that house naked and wounded. This became known both to all Jews and Greeks dwelling in Ephesus, and fear fell upon them all, and the name of the Lord Jesus was magnified. So this is an interesting one. This is basically one demon-possessed man saying to a bunch of guys, "I don't know you," beating them up, and disrobing all of them till they were naked and they had to flee.
I think this is a.
That's
I actually think this
crazy.
is. I think this is. I think this is B tier. I think this has gone up because I'll tell you why. Because in the Pentecostal movement, we use this scripture a lot to reference the fact that people need to have the Spirit of God in them, the Holy Spirit, in order to cast out these demons. If they didn't, they could be violently attacked. And they even said you have to be right with God if you're going to do things like fasting and things like that, because you open yourself up to the spirit realm, and therefore you can get attacked. So you need to be careful because otherwise you can be attacked. And I saw Penn and Teller do that once. That's awesome, Ember. Ember seems like a cool guy.
Ember's awesome.
So that's to me that's probably a B tier or a C tier, but I think
I mean, hey, one guy disrobing a bunch of other dudes, because there's like in Catholicism, there's like all kinds of accounts of exorcisms of people throwing people across the room, levitating, superhuman strength. That's pretty impressive. Like a demon can enter a human and give them super strength. Like if a demon entered a human and that demon was excised, that's basically Superman, right? Like that kind of demon could cause a lot of damage. I say B tier for this one. This is Rob the Destroyer is not bad. Yeah. Okay,
it's
cool.
funny to put them up there with angels though, but at the same time, I don't know. Yeah, I think
we can always we can always go back and revisit angels and say, hey, we got a better idea now. But okay, cool. So hey, so I need to do a bio break. I'm going to put up the next scripture. And if you can talk about the next scripture and read it and then maybe just give some commentary on it, I'll be back in just a few minutes. I'll go ahead and post it up here.
Sounds good.
So just go ahead and take it away and I'll be back in just a moment.
Okay. So 2 Corinthians 11, 14 to 15. Okay, now that he's gone, everyone tell me some secrets about him. Tell me about him. What is Eric? Is Eric a good guy? Tell me. No, so, and no wonder, for Satan himself masquerading as an angel of light. It is not surprising then if his servants also masquerade as servants of righteousness. Their end will be what their actions deserve. So that's actually super interesting. I remember when Barack Obama was elected as president, a lot of people who believed that he was the Antichrist would use this scripture to say, it looks like he's doing good things. He pretends that he's interested in the poor and helping the country, but it's he's just like this, masquerading as light. I remember showing footage of I think it was Bowling for Columbine, and Marilyn Manson is interviewed in that about the Columbine shooters, and I remember showing this to someone, and they said, "Oh, the devil, the devil is quite masquerades as light, masquerades as smart." Like, it's like Marilyn Manson was given the power of the demons, So, So let's see. Nara said he is the Antichrist. Okay. He likes to get skinny dip and lol.
You did good, David. If it makes you feel any better, I kept my earphones in, so I heard everything.
Damn it.
Oh, yeah. So, this one. This is the OG demon himself. I'm sorry, I didn't even introduce him properly because I had to go to the bathroom so bad. We're talking about Satan, right? Is that what we're talking about here?
Are we?
I think so.
Oh yeah, and no wonder. Yes.
Yeah, for Satan himself. We're talking about.
We're talking about Satan himself.
We're talking about the man himself, Satan the devil.
This has to be S tier. Because
I guess. I guess the first question is Satan a demon? Because I'm always hearing that it's Satan and his demons, or Satan the devil and the demons. He's the OG. He is the OG fallen angel. Is he a demon also? And if
Yeah.
so, there's also some questions around the power structure of the demons. Like, why are the other demons following him? If he's the first, but yeah, all kinds of questions there. So he's the first to fall, the king of the baddies. By some accounts, namely Revelation, and then I didn't write out the rest of the line, so I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, is Satan a demon? I guess that's the first question we should really tackle here. Is that something?
That's a good question because a demon is technically a fallen angel, right?
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And Satan was an angel, right? He
Yeah.
was I forget exactly the scripture that were used for him, but he was basically like just this shining bright beacon of one of God's minions, and then became jealous, tempted Adam and Eve, and then now he's Satan.
There's definitely a scene that's like Satan is like the boss of the demons. That's how I always saw it. But it's like, is he a demon? That's actually a good
Yeah.
question. Because if this is a demon tier list, he wouldn't be that good of a demon. Like, he's kind of like a manager that doesn't do much work.
Yeah, he's like a crappy middle manager, or not even middle manager. He's like a crappy executive. He doesn't allocate resources correctly. He has multiple demons possessing single people. Demons are doing things that are just not impressive. Like for example, one of God's angels could kill 185,000 Assyrians in a single night, according to First Kings. One angel
Okay.
can kill 185,000 Assyrian humans.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see demons doing that.
There's also what's that? There's that list of Hang on, let me just find it really quick.
Okay. I have another
There is
image from the Book of Revelation 2 I can show that's basically on this.
So my friend Deborah Grace wrote about this in her book Crucifying the Bible. Let me just put that up there. It's a good little book. But the amount of let me just find this. It's, trust me, it's amazing when I find it. Keep chatting as I
Okay. So what I'm looking for right now, excuse me. What I'm looking for right now is that the Jehovah's Witnesses have an illustration of Satan being cast to the earth along with his demons, which is like, using the Book of Revelation, Satan is represented by I think it was a seven-headed serpent. Seven-headed serpent, along with all of his demon cronies, being cast down onto the earth. And a whole nother can of worms. Jehovah's Witnesses believe this happened in the year 1914, but that's a completely different thing. But essentially, Satan is the original fallen angel. Technically, I guess he's the original demon if you consider demons to just be fallen angels.
The problem is
Yeah.
he's so weak in I found that section. Returning briefly to the topic of Satan, reading from this book, by the way, the Bible. Returning briefly from the topic of Satan, it should disturb anyone who believes in the Bible to find out how many recorded, verified deaths can be attributed to God and how many can be attributed to Satan. Satan, 10. 10 deaths directly attributed to Satan.
Yes.
And under God's permission. And they were Job's friends. Job's, right? God?
Yep.
2,821,364. And that's not including the flood. That's just not including a bunch of things that don't have accurate numbers. This is like talking about when God killed 15 people here, 150,000 people here, 2,821,364 people.
Yep.
That's wild.
Is that from Drunk from Blood? There's a book called Drunk from Blood, which is basically on that topic.
It's there was a YouTube video on that as well. That's actually conservative numbers.
Yeah.
I think those numbers are actually much bigger but yeah.
And here's the cherry on top of that. The 10 that Satan killed in the book of Job, he had God's explicit permission to do that.
Yeah.
Satan could not kill those people until God gave permission as a test for Job. God of the Bible discarded 10 human lives in order to test Job for the glory of his name. So whole nother can of worms there and problems.
I've just put Drunk with Blood on my wish list. Is it a good book?
Yeah,
I'll put it on my.
I haven't read it yet, but I know that the book Drunk on Blood is what basically counts for that. But anyway, Satan,
Cool.
he's the top dog, OG. He caused all of this apparently, according to the Bible. There's questions as to why demons follow Satan. Like, just because Satan's the OG demon is the first one, just because he's the first, why does that mean the angels follow him necessarily? Like, I can imagine a single angel saying, hey, you know what? God, you're crazy. Satan, you're crazy. I'm going to go to Florida. I'm going to open up a bakery or something. I'm going to open a barbecue. All kinds of questions around that.
Well,
but
the thing is, you see, depends on how we go. Depends on who Gabriel is, right? Because I think Gabriel could even be higher than Satan. So I would have to say either S or A, but it's hard not to put Satan at S. What do you think? Because Gabriel, because is Gabriel who I'm thinking it is, like Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, or is it?
Depends on the context. We are going to be talking about Gabriel the angel here really shortly.
Okay.
Because we're Satan is our last demon, supposed demon, on our Bible tier list. We're going to go into some extra biblical stuff after this. We have like three more accounts to go through. Yeah, I mean, I would say I would have to say S tier at this point, because like I don't want to. It seems like the obvious choice, but it's kind of unavoidable. You
know what? Let's put him in S tier. But when we go to Gabriel, I'm going to try and move Satan down to A tier.
Gabriel will give Satan a run for his money. I do agree with you there. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. All right, let's continue on then. Satan's done. So that's it for biblical demons. We do see a lot of D tier demons here, which is not very impressive. There's a few up there, but the funny thing is that very much extremes here. Like Nephilim, that's in Genesis. Abaddon, that's in Revelation, and those both have A tier.
They're right on the.
It's like kind of almost polar opposites when it comes to the timeline, and then everyone else is kind of meh in the middle and D tier.
Milk toast.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's go into. I got a few extra biblical ones because I was a little afraid that the Bible would be too boring, and I do have to say that the Bible was a little boring with most of its accounts. There was a couple really kind of cool, interesting ones to talk about, but I've selected 4 extra biblical demon accounts from various sources for us to consider. So we don't necessarily have to consider those as part of the official tier list, but we'll have fun with it. We'll figure it out. Okay. So we're going to talk about Saint Anthony the Great. Saint Anthony the Great is a Catholic saint. I'll pull up his image here. Bam. Saint Anthony the Great. This is an interesting story. I just learned about this guy today when I was doing some research on this topic. He's a 3rd century Christian saint who was literally beaten to death by demons in a cave. He was eventually resurrected, went back to that cave, and then now he casts these demons out in God's name, and God was glorified, and huzzah, and all of that. This is Michelangelo. This image here is Michelangelo, I believe. I said 3rd century. I think this was the year 1400. I forget exactly when, but Michelangelo created this image of Mark Antony. I do very much enjoy. Let me zoom in here. I do very much enjoy the look on his face. Like
he's so over it.
He's looks just like had it with this shit.
He looks like my boy Atlas. He's just had enough of the day. That looks like Atlas's face he pulls.
Like you ever have a moment where you look back and go, why did I choose this career? Like why did I become a prophet of God or a spiritual man? Here I am getting beaten to death by demons. So anyway, Santi Ante. According to my notes here, I have a Wikipedia page on him, which we aren't going to go through all of it, but we can go ahead and open it and take a look. There's a couple other images in here as well. So this is the Wikipedia article on Anthony the Great. And if we scroll down, he's done a bunch of stuff apparently. This is literally 1700 years ago when this guy lived, if he lived. But this is what we want to focus in on here is the demons in a cave right here. So Demons in the Cave says, once Anthony tried to hide in a cave to escape the demons that plagued him. So apparently he had a history of demonic disturbances. There were so many little demons in the cave, though, that Anthony's servant had to carry him out because he had been beaten to death. So it didn't really help him. God didn't help save him. The cave didn't help save him. He ran into a cave and got beaten to death by little demons, according to the image we just looked at. When the hermits gathered to Anthony's corpse to mourn his death, Anthony was revived for some reason. There's no, was there any of the prophets of God there? Were resurrections happening in the 3rd century CE? Like, if resurrections were happening in the third century CE, why are they not happening now?
Well, I have friends who say that they know people who have been raised from the dead. So people say they are happening now. Yeah. And when I ask them for clarification, they say they trust the people that told them the story, or they won't give me, or they just stop replying.
I don't suppose they have evidential backup for that video, photos.
Oh, it'd be amazing. It'd be
signed
amazing
testimony, anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, Anthony was revived. He demanded that his servants take him back to that cave where the demons had beaten him to death. When he got there, he called out to the demons, and they came back as wild beasts to rip him to shreds. All of a sudden, a bright light flashed, and the demons ran away. This is very Lord of the Rings-ish. Battle of Helm's Deep. Yeah. Anthony knew that the light must have come from God. And he asked God where he was before the demons attacked him. God replied, I was here, but I would see and abide to see thy battle. And because thou hast mainly fought and well maintained thy battle, I shall make thy name to be spread through all the world. So God was like, I let you die because reasons? I wanted your name to be glorified. I don't know.
It's always the way.
Yeah. So yeah, this guy, Santi Anti.
I think that Santi Anti.
That's not the name of the demon, but it's the name of the demon account. So like, he was beaten to death by demons in a cave. What do we make of this?
I think it has to be higher than D, maybe C. I think maybe even B or A. I don't know.
I don't think it's A tier. Yeah, maybe D tier. This is right there with Robe the Disrober. I think.
Yeah.
Like,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I think. Kind of right there. Cool like beating a man to death. Yeah, that's kind of scary. I mean, that would get my attention.
What's his name? Saint what?
Saint Anthony the Great. Lived in the year 240, I believe, according to the Wikipedia article. Let me double check here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Born 251, died 356 at the age of 105, apparently.
Damn.
That's quite the accomplishment for the 3rd century.
Yeah.
But yeah, so beaten to death in a cave, not very glamorous. God apparently allowed it to happen because that would make his name glamorous. Okay. Anyway. All right. So Anthony is gone. All right. So now we're starting to dive into the crazy stuff now. Like, this is gonna be bottom of the barrel. When I say bottom of the barrel, I mean like reeking of desperation to impress type stuff. The next one we have is the angel Gabriel. So the angel Gabriel, where I got a picture of him. I like this image a lot. I really appreciate this image that the AI generated for me because it just looks cool. That's a nice use of color, man. For an AI,
it really is.
That's crazy.
It's got the complementary colors, the blue and teal, the teal and the orange.
It's well framed. It's got the like a turquoise bluish behind. The rocks really look nice. Yeah, it looks great.
Mm.
So anyway, according to Muslim tradition,
Damn it!
Muhammad
This was the point I was
received.
going to bring up.
Oh
Yeah,
really? Okay, cool. I beat
yeah,
you to it. Well, I'll say my
yeah,
bit and I'll let you say your bit
yeah,
here.
yeah.
According to Islam tradition, Muhammad received the Quran from the angel Gabriel in a cave. One wing though. Yeah, it is one wing. That's maybe, I don't know, a Sephiroth reference from Final Fantasy VII. Let me. Do I have this pulled up here? No, I don't have this pulled up here. Anyway, so I'll just wing it from memory. So Muhammad received the Quran from the angel Gabriel in a cave. Muhammad was so overcome by this angel Gabriel's power that Muhammad, while sleeping in the cave, could not breathe. He felt physical pressure on his chest, and an angel supposedly compelling him to recite the words, to remember the words, and eventually to transcribe them. Muhammad initially resisted, saying, I am not a prophet. I am not one of these special class of people that are allowed to do these things. And the angel Gabriel insisted, continuing to pressure his chest until, I believe the text said, Muhammad felt like he would no longer be able to endure this, like he was on the verge of dying from suffocation, until finally Gabriel relented. And then, like, the words of the Quran filled Muhammad's mind, and he eventually went on to
Didn't he
write the
initially
Quran.
run away? Like, didn't he initially go to the cave and then run away because he was afraid and then come back or something? It's been a while since I read Muhammad, Prophet of Our Time. It's been a while since I read it.
Yeah,
But that sounds accurate what he said.
I'm not sure. So yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about the nitty gritty around the story. All I know is that the angel Gabriel was very insistent with Muhammad while he was sleeping in a cave, whether to, to get him to write the story.
Okay,
But,
so
uh,
yeah, keep going. Say what you're going to say.
but there are Christians today who will say that this angel Gabriel was actually a demon, because apparently, with the rest of the myth or the lore around Muhammad, Muhammad considered himself to be demon disturbed. So there are Christians today. I actually had one. I forgot the gentleman's name in my short, but there's a guy who very vocally announces that Muhammad, the angel that spoke to Muhammad in the cave, was in fact a demon.
Yeah, that's an old like apologetic, I think, for it. For it all. There's I'm just looking up something right now.
I'll finish my thought on that while you look that up.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. So if that is true, let's say hypothetically it is true that Muhammad in a cave received his revelation of the Quran from a demon. That demon, with a single conversation, created the largest competitor to Christianity in history. 1.2 billion adherents just today. 1.2 billion adherents, all specifically not following Christianity. That is a huge win for just a single conversation. If you're a demon, you really want to pull followers away from God. That is massive. A conversation with a guy in a cave, keep him from breathing a little bit, scare him, maybe knock him around a little bit. Now we have Islam, according to these Christians that say this. That's S tier. Like
that,
seriously,
100%.
that's S tier.
I think it knocks off. I think it knocks Satan down, because
Yeah.
Satan down because not only that, right? So I posted on Instagram and YouTube communities and Twitter, and I said, of the list of religions, let's hypothetically grant that one of them is true. Which religion do you think is the most plausibly true? But here's the catch: if your religious belief is listed, you cannot choose that religion. So choose the most plausibly true religion that you don't believe in. And the and 23% of people on my Instagram said Islam. 0% said Christianity, 8% said Hinduism, and 69% said Buddhism. On YouTube, Christianity had 8%, Hinduism had 11%, Buddhism had 74%, and Islam had 7%. I think that because I think Islam is the fastest growing religion by far.
Yes.
So I would say that it beats the devil.
Yeah,
More
I
influential.
I can only agree with you. In fact, you read my mind because I actually had a link here to a Pew Research Center article about the growth of religion. And even though this is from 2015 and these numbers are from 2010, Islam is set to surpass Christianity sometime shortly after 2050. Like, here's the 2000. Let me see if I can make it bigger. So, yeah, legible. So 2010, Christians 2.1 billion, Muslims 1.6 billion. That's pretty impressive. You can see they're very much like Muslims are trailing Christianity in 2010, but man, that gap is closing in this second to last column here. 2050, and this is numbers using this, like 7 years of numbers. We don't know what the current ones are. Muslims will be 30% and Christianity will be 31.4%. Like, that is a narrow margin.
And if we are to take the Quran as instructed by Gabriel, right?
Yeah.
Then we need to take into account what it says. So in Quran 4:34, it says, "Men are in charge of women by the right of Allah, which who has given one over the other, and what they spread for maintenance from their wealth. So righteous women be devoutly obedient, guarding in their husband's absence what Allah would have them guard. But those wives from whom you fear arrogance, first advise them. Then if they persist, forsake them in bed." So separate your beds and don't have sex with them. "And finally, strike them. But if they obey you once more, seek no means against them. Indeed, Allah is ever exalted and grand." So in the words, and this is the problem with Islam, is Islam has these like direct words from God. They can't be translated differently. They can't be thought of differently. The Arabic there says to strike, for a husband to strike the wife. That's dangerous. And it gives, like my friend Hanny says, it gives women black eyes in China and breaks the ribs of women in the Middle East. This is an issue. It's a problem. And if they came from the words of Gabriel, think of all of the domestic abuse that's come just from that one scripture. So I would say it beats Satan. I'd say it's beaten Satan. Yeah. In fact, probably more people have died as a result of the words of Gabriel than Satan. So let's dump Satan down to A tier.
I agree. In fact, that's what I have in here. I have some numbers. I have some statistics on the Crusades, because by generating the biggest competitor to Christianity, this supposed demon set off the events of the Crusades, which led to 2 centuries of war, territory going back and forth, countless death. I mean, the Crusades ended in the 1200s, but the ramifications are still felt today. This is like earth-shattering development based off of just a conversation in a cave. Like, that is, if this is the case, and that's insane. So, and I believe also, like what you mentioned earlier and what you were reciting, the Quran was verbatim recited to Muhammad, and he transcribed it onto text. So this is the word of Allah.
This is like in Arabic, it's the exact word. Like, it can't be. It can't. There's no wiggle room. You know how, like, in the New Testament, it says women are to submit to the male authority and not to speak.
All kinds of interpretation.
And there's wiggle room in that. It's like, that was Paul, and he was. But no, with the Quran, you can't. And that's what Christopher Hitchens says. That's why it's so dangerous.
Yeah. Ember says, "I looked up religion caused deaths the other day, and the Islamic invasion of India resulted in about 80 million. By far the biggest genocide in human history."
Damn.
If true, nuts. Wow. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All from one conversation. If that demon had left Muhammad to just kind of slumber in his cave, None of that would
Yeah.
have happened, apparently.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. We have two more stories. Both of these are from much more contemporary sources. The first one, and we'll go through these quickly, hopefully, because I mean, you can on this next one, you can just go back to the video that I released on the about a month ago now. It was late March. This was Ralph. Where's the graphic on it? Here it is. Ralph. So Ralph Anderson was a guy in a 1986 Awake magazine article. The Awake is a bi-monthly article or a magazine released by the Jehovah's Witnesses. There's a 1986 edition that has a guy named Ralph Anderson talking about how demons tormented him. And I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream, or closer to the beginning of the stream a little bit. But basically, these demons beat him up in his sleep. They rattled his windows at night, keep him from sleeping. They helped him predict the future. They helped him hurt his grandmother. Like all kinds of crazy stuff around that. I don't want to go too far into it because we're running low on time. But basically, Ralph was buddies with the demons. Ralph decided he didn't want to be their buddies anymore. The demons got real and then made his life a living hell. Ralph became a Jehovah's Witness, and God kind of helped him with that. God kind of like reduced the demon activity in his life, but didn't completely eliminate it, which was really weird. And Pragmatic Crystal watched the video, and she very astutely points out that Ralph was not a good person in the story. Ralph was a bit of an asshole. So with that limited bit of information, because we are going to rush through to the end, where should Ralph's demons be poised? Ralph's demons predicted the future, got his drug dealer arrested, got his grandmother to cut herself with a knife while she was probably chopping vegetables, and also beat Ralph up in his sleep when he decided he didn't want to be friends anymore. Where should yeah, just D, right?
Again.
Like,
Yeah.
just beating up a guy. Like, I would say D. Yeah. Pretty weak sauce. Absolutely. Oh, and I don't even. Oh man, Julia is a whole can of worms. This, you know what? Tell you what, we're not going to talk too much about Julia right now, but the art that Midjourney generated for her is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
that is an awesome piece of. I didn't even tell it to do a half face thing. It just did it on its own.
That's so cool.
Anyway, so currently right now in my other stream that I had with Nitty and Ember, we were talking about a guy named Richard Gallagher, who is a exorcist wannabe. He's a psychiatrist, assists in Catholic and Protestant or other religious exorcisms, but he's only there as like a advisor. Probably, I suspect, to protect his like professional position as a board certified psychiatrist. Anyway, Julia, in his anecdotes and in his book, Julia, I guess, is like his prime example or prime story that he goes to talk about, what exorcisms were like. Tell you what, we're going to skip her for now. We're not going to rank her. I'll probably save that for a future video. In fact, probably in one of our future live streams with Ember and Nitty, we'll talk more about Julia. But I just wanted to share the art. Interesting thing about this, yeah, it is. Interesting thing about this artwork is, if you look at the bottom right, Midjourney has trained off of so much real art by real artists that it actually generated a signature of an artist at the bottom. That's not a real artist signature. It is an AI generated signature because it's seen so many signatures in art. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll talk about Julia some other time. Anyway, let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. I know we're a little over time. Here's our tier list. So I predicted this. Yeah, I think we did great. I think Gabriel does yes and belong at S tier. If the story of Gabriel is real and Gabriel was a demon, he has caused so much havoc and chaos by creating a competitor to Christianity. And that's not saying that Christianity is right and Islam is wrong. Just the fact that Gabriel created this counter force to Christianity, and it has caused so many problems.
Yeah, it's kind of it's like it's creating this whole other thing, right? Like, when none of these demons, like Satan didn't create like division like Gabriel did, right? Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, Gabriel.
Yeah.
For
That
sure.
that demon used his noggin. Like we have accounts of other demons, multiple demons possessing just one person and making one person's life miserable. Other
1.2
accounts of
billion.
one
Yeah.
demon for one person, but this one demon was like, "Hey, if I talk to the right guy at the right time in the right way, I can create I can pull billions of souls away from God." Like that's the MVP. That demon needs a raise. If Satan has a
Yeah.
payroll, that demon needs a
Yeah.
bonus because that
Yeah.
is some smart thinking.
Yeah. Clever.
Yeah, clever. That's to say the least clever. That was yeah, pretty impressive. All right, so that's all we got. That's all we got. That's the
Awesome.
entire tier list. We made it through. We're about 45 minutes
Well,
overtime.
well, with last thing we need to kind of a few people before said that they should use the demon emoji for your stream. So if you come over
Yeah.
to Deep Drinks, use the demon emoji like that, and then I'll know that
Yes.
you've come over from Eric's channel, and I'll make sure to send you a little demon emoji back. We don't tell anyone; it's our little secret. But yeah, this is cool.
Yes, I
We
like
have
it.
you on. We have you on tomorrow,
We
Eric.
do.
And look, man, I'll be real. I'm gonna go wild with the Fosters. I'm getting 6, and I plan to drink all 6 during the stream. So,
Holy, all six? Are they 12-ounce cans? Like how big are they?
uh, I don't know.
Because all right, man, Foster's in America they're 25 ounces. Like these are two 12-ounce cans put together right here.
Tomorrow,
And that and
tomorrow.
by the way, that's what I was drinking tonight. I was drinking Foster's. So
Yeah, nice. Uh, I'm gonna get a 6-pack. Look, I'm gonna aim for the 6. It's
yeah,
gonna be a fun stream. It's always good to go, and we'll let it go wild because tomorrow is Anzac Day, so everyone's at home chilling anyway.
oh awesome.
So yeah, so I'm gonna 6 beers, 100%. Well, I'll try. We'll see what we can do. But thanks for everyone coming out to this. It's been amazing, and
Yeah,
thanks for sharing at my channel. I really appreciate it, and look forward
yeah.
to continuing the conversation tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. I'm putting banners up right now. Check out David at Deep Drinks Podcast. A link to his channel and his Twitter is in the description. He's had some amazing recent content, namely on the topic of Old Testament slavery, where he has not 1, 2, 3, or 4 doctors, but 5 doctors, including Kip Davis, on
Yeah.
his channel, where they're talking about Old Testament slavery. He has 2 episodes on that. Go check him out. It's an amazing channel. I see bright things in the future for his channel. And yeah, here's also a link to his Twitter. He's at Deep Drinks Pod. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I put a bunch of demonic emojis in there. We have the demon, the kabuki, the ghost, the clown demon, and then a clown. So clowns are
Yeah.
scary. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're demons.
Same clan posse.
Yeah.
For sure. Awesome.
cool.
Well, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for having me on, Eric. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much for joining. We had a new peak of viewers. I think we hit 31 at some point. Thanks again, David. Have a good
Awesome.
evening. Peace out. Catch you
See you
later.
later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.